So hello everyone and welcome to today's session, Coding with Golang, and thank you to Nighthawks for that introduction. We also have the same sign-in sheet, which you just accessed, linked here, so if you didn't get a chance to grab it there. And we have a QR code to our link tree, which has pretty much everything on it. So before we move forward, since I know some of you are from Nighthawks and might be new to GDSC UCF or Google Developer Student Clubs UCF, I'll give a super quick overview of what Google Developer Student Clubs are all about. So Google Developer Student Clubs, or GDSCs, are student-run communities which are supported and recognized by Google developers. So Google also supports developers through similar programs like Google Developer Groups and Women Tech Makers. So if you like today's events, we have plenty more coming and would love for you to get involved with our club. So to help you keep track of all of our socials, get access to our Google Calendar, mailing lists, and like a step-by-step guide to how to like join Bevy, which is our Google created RSVP site. We have it all condensed into this slide deck, which is the top QR code and the bottom or the link there that's also there. And it's also on our link tree. So you have many options for how to access this. So we'd love to have you at future events, and this slide deck is the perfect place to figure out how to do that. Let's move on to our next section. So this is our October calendar. As you can see, this is our second to last event of the season for October. So our next event is on Monday, the 25th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. on Zoom. And it's the third of our Create Your Own Web Portfolio series, going over how to add responsive web features with JavaScript. Cool, so let's actually introduce ourselves now. So I'm Hannah. I am the lead or president of the Google Developer Student Club, and I'm a CS major here at UCF.
Hi everyone, I'm Alice. I'm also a CS major, and I'm the vice president of GDSC.
Hello everyone, my name is Andre. I'm the marketing lead for GDSC. I'm also a computer science major here at UCF, and I'm a junior right now, so that's it.
Sick. So let's actually get into Golang. So first, let's talk about what Go or Golang actually is. So one question which I had when I was first introduced to this language was, is it called Go or Golang? So when the language was first created by Google in 2007, the URL go.org was not available. So they just went for golang.org. And as a result, some people use Golang interchangeably with Go, but the actual language is called Go. And one super cool thing about Go is that it's an open source programming language, which basically means that the code for Go is openly shared, so you can voluntarily improve the design of the software. So next, let's talk a little bit about what Go can do.
So there's a few uses for Go, as you can see, but it's best known for cloud infrastructure and server-side applications. And as you can see, here's a lot of companies that use Go. There's some really big companies. So as you can see, it's not some really obscure language. It's actually widely used in industry. All right, and some pros for it is that it's actually pretty easy to learn, as we'll get into it, and the syntax is really clean and simple. It's fast and it's very secure, and it also has a garbage collection, which is different than C, so that's really nice and convenient. And it also has a concurrency model. And if you don't know what concurrency is, it's basically the task of running and managing multiple computations at the same time, which decreases waiting time and also increases resource utilization, which is really cool, and also learn about this more in upper level classes. And the cons of it is that it doesn't have generics. And if you don't know what generics are, it's basically super powerful building blocks that allow us to share code and build programs more easily. And generic programming means writing functions and data structures where some types are left to be specified later. And you'll definitely cover generics and object-oriented programming and CS2. All right, so let's actually get into coding. But before I get into it, I'd like to preface that we'll be speed running through these syntax slides to allow plenty of time for Hannah to code up her Discord bot. And if you need to slow down, just let me know. And we're going to assume that this isn't your first time that you've ever coded. And the approach to these slides is that we'll be converting common concepts like if statements and for loops into Go specific syntax.
And for this, please feel free to raise your hand, ask any questions. Let us know if you want something explained differently or need a second to catch up. And later in this workshop for the Discord bot specifically, we'll be using REPL.it. So if you want to go in now and create an account there, if you haven't already, that would be great.
All right, let's get started. Okay, so for every language, we start with the Hello World program. So that's what we're going to do here. So this is your standard Hello World program, and every program in Go starts off with a package. So in the Go language, packages are used to organize and reuse code, and programs start running in the package main. And on line 3, we have an import FMT. So here the import keyword is used to import packages in your program, and the FMT package is used to implement formatted input and output with functions. And it also contains the println function, which we'll need to use to print hello world for. So right here, you can see on line 6, we do FMT println hello world. And as you can see on this output, we printed out hello world. All right, so let's do some math now. And in this slide, we'll be diving into imports and exports. So in here, we're gonna be going into imports explicitly. So the import keyword is used to import packages into your program. And it's most important for you to, since we're using, this program is gonna be designed for the square root function. So since we want to print out a square root, we can actually go into a library called math, which we're gonna import here. So we're gonna do import math along with our FMT package to printf. And when we go into the print statement on line 9, we have math dot square root. And keep in mind, when we have the math dot square root, especially the square root, notice that it's capitalized because you're exporting from the import of the math library. And if you don't capitalize the S, you're not going to be able to export it and your code basically won't work. So as you can see on the bottom here, we have the output of our function.
Yeah, and feel free to code along with these examples in REPL. And if anyone has a question about how to create a REPL and get it set up for this language, we can go over that right now before we continue going.
All right, let's dive into even more math. Okay, so we're gonna dive into functions right now. And with every program in Go, if you want to write a function, you basically, as you can look on line 5, you just write func before you start typing any function. And you type out the name of the function, then the parameters, and then the return type. So it's pretty similar to what you see in other languages, except for the fact that the return type is put at the end instead of the beginning.
Another thing to look at on this slide, so you see in the previous slide, we had to import with curly brace brackets. So if we want to do, instead of writing import FMT, import another package, we can condense them into one and do import curly brackets and then the names of each package that we want to do. There's multiple options for imports.
All right, and then now we have a really neat trick here. So if you have parameters of the same type, you can omit the declaration of each data type for each variable, instead only include the data type declaration at the end. So for example, if you look here, we basically shorten this parameter from x int y int into x y int. All right. So another cool thing about Go that makes it cooler than C or Java is that you can actually return multiple things in return statements. So as you can see in this program, we returned both X and Y. So we basically swapped hello world into world hello. And in this program, we returned both world and hello simultaneously. All right, so let's live code a split number function. So I'm going to basically be splitting the number 17 into two numbers.
So this is REPL if you haven't been introduced to the platform before. It basically has online consoles that automatically support a lot of languages, and you can create them and automatically it will set everything up for you so you're ready to just dive directly into coding. So we'll go over how to create a REPL right now. There's multiple options, either the create REPL or the plus under create.
Yep, so I'm going to go here, search for the Go language.
And if you need us to speak louder or anything, just let us know.
I'm going to title it split number. And then now I'm going to create the REPL. If you guys need me to slow down or clarify at any moment, just let me know. All right, so over here we have a basic hello world program, and we're going to be modifying this into a split number function. So we're going to keep the package main in the import FMT, and we're actually going to go into main now and change the print. Yes. Yes.
You can do it either. Let's see if I guess we don't have a mouse pad with this. Let me just try zoom in this way. Cool. Is that big enough? Sick. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Any more questions? No. Yes. All right. So we're going to go into the print line function, and I want to create a split line function. Oh, a split number function. So within this directly, I want to print out the output. So I'm going to change this and prepare to code up a function. So I'm going to call my function split, and I want to split the number 17. So I'm going to input that in right now. And then now I'm going to go and make the function itself. So with every function in Go, we start with the words func to make a function, and then the name of the function, which I call down in the print line function as split. So I'm going to rename it split up here. And then I'm going to input the parameters, and I'm going to call it sum, and 17 is an int. So I'm going to put it as an int.
And you might notice here that in functions, you actually declare the type of the variable after the name of the variable, which is a little funky and not something we see in a lot of other languages.
And then within here, I want to return two things. So I'm going to utilize the special feature of Go where I can return multiple things. So I want to return two numbers that are both integers. So I'm going to actually shorten the return into X, Y, and they're both integers. And then I'm going to put a parentheses here and there. And by the way, you can't do this over here because Go doesn't use, it's really picky about new line characters. So you can't do this. If you do this, it'll look at the new line character and it won't compile. So you have to do Java style braces over here. And then now we're going to actually write it. So I think I want to split the number into 10 and 7. So I'm going to begin by declaring X, and I want to take the sum, which is 17. I'm going to multiply it by 4/9. And then next, I want to take my other number and take the remainder of what I just had. So I'm going to do sum minus X to get the remainder of that. Then now I can return X and Y. Well, not really. X and Y. And this should work now. So this should return both 10 and 7.
So you're deciding which ratio do you want to split it into and splitting it based off of that.
And then also a really cool thing is that you can actually omit X and Y. And this is called a naked return type, and it'll still work. And it works because Go recognizes that within here, you basically declared in what you want to return. So Go knows to look over here in the return statement right over here. And yeah, that's it. Any questions? All good. Does anyone need a bit longer?
Also, this is our first in-person and non-Zoom workshop, so we're like definitely like raise your hand, interact. We're used to looking at the Zoom chat, so yeah, we'll go on to the next section. Oh,
So like, have like the variables to the
Yeah,
And
we
you
can
can-
try that right now.
it already is screaming at us.
Yeah,
It
it
says,
doesn't.
what are
like
you
that.
doing?
Yeah, so yeah, not enough arguments to return. All right, so yeah, you either have to do return X, Y, or you can actually omit them and it,
Make it
like we
return.
saw that.
So what's your question? Yeah, so you can definitely make custom classes. You can go.
All right.
We're actually going to talk about variable declaration next, so you'll learn more about what you can do and what you can't do, although I don't think we go very far into anything about classes.
Okay, so now let's talk about how to declare a variable. So looking at the sample code block that we have here, we can see that in lines 5 and 8 that we are declaring some variables. So the first thing what we want to do when we declare a variable is first we want to have the var keyword to indicate that the thing that we are declaring is a variable. Then after that, we're going to give it a name. So in this case, in line 8, we have a variable named I. And then lastly, we will just specify what kind of data type we want it to be. So now what about the variables outside of main? So those variables are declared within a package level, meaning that they will have a global scope within the program. And as you've noticed in line 5, we can also declare several variables all in just one line, as long as they share the same data type. So in this case, in line 5, we declared 3 variables, which is C, Python, Java, and they all have the same data type, which is bool. So initializing variables. So for this one now, it's time to give our variables some values. So in line 6, we have var I and j. So if we wanted to initialize var I to have the value of 1 and var j to have the value of 2, how would we do that? So I'm just going to give you guys a few seconds to think about it, and then we'll go to the next slide. Okay, so you can see it is pretty similar. We just added the int data type to specify that variable I and j are ints. And then we have we initialize it with 2 values since we have 2 variables. So we have the value 1 for var I and the value 2 for variable j. Just be sure to put them in the same order, the way the variables were written down, so you don't mix up the numbers. Oh, let me just check the Zoom chat real quick. Structs. Yes. So now we're going to talk about short variable declarations. This is a quick way to declare and initialize a variable all in one line without all the additional keywords and stuff like that. So in the sample code block, if we go to line 7, we'll see that we declared and initialized k using a short variable declaration. If you guys can notice, we did not use an equal sign, but instead we used a different operator. It's like a colon and like an equal sign stuck together. So what we're pretty much doing is like we're letting Go infer what kind of data type variable k is based on the data type of the value that we initialize it with. So for variable k, we initialize it with the value 3. 3 is an integer. So therefore, variable k is an integer data type. Okay, loops. Now we have for loops. So if you guys have coded with C, the for loop syntax with Go is actually pretty similar. So, so in this case, how would you guys make a for loop that iterates 10 times? So I'm just going to give you guys a few seconds to think about it, then we'll go to the next slide.
And you can think about it based off of other languages that you've looked at to think, what does it usually look like?
Yeah,
And then we'll look, what does it actually look like in Go? Because Go is weird.
it is a little bit. Next slide. So as you can see, it's pretty similar. We used the shorthand operator to initialize I with the value of 0. If you guys can notice, we don't use any parentheses, but we kept the curly braces. But besides that, the syntax is pretty much similar compared to other coding languages. Yes?
Yeah, so the colon equation sign is saying basically I'm going to declare and initialize a variable at the same time. So it's saying I have a variable and it's going to be equal to this.
Mhm.
And then you let Go figure out what type it is.
Yes. So type inferencing, pretty much. Now for our while loop, we actually don't use the keyword while for Go. Instead, we use the same keyword for, but we just place the conditional expression right next to it. But again, we don't use parentheses because we don't do that with Go. So it's just like basically a shortened for loop.
Yeah, so the initialization that you would do in the for loop, where it usually happens before it,
Mhm.
is outside of it rather than inside of it with multiple things.
Yes. So for the if statements, again, the syntax for the if statement is pretty similar. We put the keyword if and then the conditional expression right next to it, but again, no parentheses. So in this example, we're checking if X is true or not, but we know it's true because we shorthand declared it with the value, Boolean true. And if it is true, then it will just print out the word Japan. And similarly, we can shorten our code by using the short variable declaration operator, again, the colon and equal sign stuck together. And in this example, in line 9, we initialize X within the same line as the if statement expression. As you can see, we have the X equals true, then semicolon X. So we can definitely do this, and it's totally valid. So now let's do some little brain teaser. Why don't we try to replicate the square root function from scratch without using it from the math package? So I'm just gonna go click this link to go to the Go playground and read more about the instructions.
You can also open it within REPL. Basically, we're trying to do exactly what the square root function does, but without using the square root function. So this is just a little practice training of, let's try out using Go, using some of the syntax that we just learned.
Yes.
And it's definitely hard to jump in with, like, I just learned the syntax to code. So if you guys have any suggestions, like, oh, I think I would do this next in a live code, do that. Just follow along.
Okay, so for now, we'll just go in to read the instructions real quick. So it says, let's implement a square root function. Given a number x, we want to find the number z for which z to the power is 2 is most nearly x. So luckily, they've given us the formula that we need. If you guys are actually interested in knowing more about this formula is actually derived from what is called the Newton's method. So feel free to look that up if you guys are interested in knowing more about it. But we are going to use this formula as our main thing. So it says right here, what is it? To begin with, they just want us to repeat the calculation 10 times. By the way, please let me know if the screen is too small or not, so I can zoom in, or if it's good. So they just want us to repeat the calculation 10 times. So an easy thing to do for that is just have a for loop and like let it iterate 10 times. So first, and also we have to initialize z. They've also given us some hints on how to do that. So we'll do just that. Then we'll make our little for loop. Okay. So the next thing that we can do is just, we can simply put this formula that they provided us and put it inside a for loop. And they also wanted us to print each z value along the way. So we'll put a print statement here.
And the form that we're going to use in this print statement shows a little bit more of how you can include variables in your print statements, which is a good thing to know.
And this is optional, but I'm also going to print out the squared value of z so that it's just easier to compare to the x value that we've been given. And then that should be it. Oh, sorry about that. Lastly, don't forget to return
Yeah,
z.
you can definitely zoom in a little bit.
Sure.
Use that guy again. Yeah,
Oh, is that
perfect. Is
that
it
good?
enough?
Okay. So now let's run this. And let me just zoom this up. And as you can see, the first few iterations we're not really that accurate, but the more that we go down, the more accurate the number we get. And then around the end, we just go back and forth between two numbers. And that's it.
Yeah, and the tour of Go site that we're on right now is a really great way to kind of go in depth of trying some of the syntax and reading more about the documentation of how it actually works from them, which is always helpful. So the next thing we're going to go over is the Discord bot. So this is going to be a lot of, you guys get to actually code stuff and go through it, because I feel like that is definitely sometimes the best way to learn. So for this, it would be awesome if you guys could open up a rebel.it. If you don't have an account yet, we can go through the steps of creating an account. Let me scoot this over so you guys can see. This is the URL we're going to, repelit.com, and I can also send that in the Zoom chat. So if you're in there, you have it for your access. So you're going to create an account within here, because this is where we're going to work. I'll go back to my slides. Yeah. So first, before we can dive into let's actually code a Discord bot, we have some initial setup steps. So I'll run through exactly what we'll be doing, and then we'll dive in. So the steps we're going to go through are setting up a Discord server, creating a new Discord application. We're going to create a new Discord bot with that application, and then connect the bot to our server that we created. So let's jump into exactly how to do these steps. So I'm going to swap my screen over to Discord now, so we can go over these setup steps. Wait, do I not have Discord open? Oh, it's right here. Perfect. Okay, cool. So within Discord, our first step is scrolling on down to the bottom of our server list. If you have a very long one, it's a difficult journey. So here we should see the plus sign. So we're going to click it. And I'll give you a second to open up Discord and click that plus sign. Once you're good, give me a thumbs up. Okay. Thumbs up once you're good. Okay. Sick. Awesome. Okay. So from here, after we click that plus sign at the bottom of our server list, we're going to click create my own rather than starting with one of these templates. So next, I'm going to skip this question. I don't want to decide to tell them more about my server right now. Instead, I'm just going to decide on a name. So what should I name my server? I'll take suggestions. I would love, yeah, with.
Oh no, our table's broken.
Oh, perfect. Oh no, our table, it's broken. I'll just do oh no, a table for short. Okay. And then I'm going to create that. Awesome. So we have a server. That was pretty quick. So now that we have our server, I'm going to change one of our account settings so that our life is easier when we're developing later. So you're going to click on this little gear icon down here, user settings. You're going to go over to its advanced and see this developer mode thing. You basically want that to be turned on. And this, as it says, exposes context menu items, which are helpful for bot rating. basically it gives us IDs of channels and other things that we'll need later. Cool. So now that I have that setting on, I'm gonna click out of there. And so the next thing we're gonna do now that we have our server is create our application and bot. So to do this, we're gonna open up a web browser and go to this link. Oh, let me go back a slide. I'm also going to paste that in the chat. I'll give you a second to open that up for those people who are in person and can't just click on a link. Everyone good? Open the link. I would also, thumbs up are great. I just want to make sure timing, so we don't leave anyone behind. Okay, so we have that site open. Cool. So within our site, which is the Discord developer portal, we're going to choose, so we're in the applications tab, and we're going to create a new application. And if you haven't created an application before, you might get a big button in the middle that says create an application. You can either click that or just new application anywhere you want to. So now we get to name our application. So any suggestions for the naming of our application? I will take more memes. Memes are good. If not, okay. You got one, Andre?
Bingus.
Okay, we'll name it Bingus. Perfect. Okay, created. So now we have our application, and the next step is to create a bot within our application. And so to do this, we're going to use the bot tab. So within the bot tab, there's an option for add a bot. So we're going to do that. And if you want to make sure there's no questions in the chat, we're going to add the bot, and it gives it life, and we can't kill it after this. So any bots you create are existing forever. So we're going to do it. Cool. And it gets the username of the application that you created. So our bot is named Bingus. He lives on. So now that we created our bot and our application, we're going to connect our bot to the server that we made and give it permissions within that server. So you're going to choose the OAuth 2 tab and scroll down to the section that says scopes. So within scopes, we want to create, what we're going to do here is basically create a URL which allows our application process access and rights within our server. So we're going to choose bot within scopes because this is what the type of scope that we want. And we can also scroll down a little further and choose which bot permissions we want to give our bot. So right now, I'm just going to give it administrator permissions, even though this is generally like not what you should do. It's a little, like you're giving it a lot of power. You can also choose to have it send messages, but I'm just going to choose admin. And so now this this URL here gives it the power to join our server and also have administrator access. So now that I've created that URL, I'm going to copy it and open it in a new tab. Cool. So now I get to select which server do I want to add it to. So we're going to add it to, oh no, our table, it's broken. Cool. And we're granting it administrator access for this. And I am a human. Awesome, it's authorized. If we go back to our Discord server, we can see that it has popped up. This is my Discord server. It's in the chat. We have Bingus, we have a bot. Incredible. First step of setup. So the next thing we're gonna do, I'll go back to my slides and we can talk over the next steps that we're gonna go through in our setup. So first, we're gonna create a new REPL within repo.it. Again, if you haven't created an account, this is a great time to do so because it's where we're going to use. Yep.
Oh, well, you want to take a chat?
Oh, that would be, yeah. I think it's me sending links. Oh, it's not me sending links. Show the slide with changing the server setting again. Of course, I can. So I'll just walk through how to change the server setting so I don't have a direct slide for that. And Adriel, if you can message in the chat, do you mean the your settings within the server? Does anyone server setting? I'm gonna wait, Adriel, if you can send, okay, I'll show how to add change your person's settings within Discord. Again, the developer settings. Basically, you're going to go to Discord. You're going to choose your user settings. From here, you are going to click on Advanced and turn on Developer mode. Perfect. Okay, so let's go into REPL. Awesome. So we're going to create a new REPL within REPL.it. We're going to import a library, which is the Discord Go library. And then we're going to add our Discord bots token to this REPL that we created. So let's go actually into doing these steps. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to replit.com. And in here, I am going to create a new REPL. So you can click the plus button to create your new REPL. As we saw earlier in the workshop, you're going to choose the Go template. I'm going to name it. I'll name it bodybot. And then I'm going to create. Awesome. So we now have our building space. So you can see on the right side, we have our sort of console screen and our text editor is on the left. So the first thing we're going to do is import the libraries that we need. So do you guys remember how to import multiple libraries in Go? Anyone have? Hell yeah, we do. Okay, so we're going to add some curly braces in here. I also just realized we're recording and I don't know policies about swearing, so I will minimize that. So the first thing that we're going to import is kind of a long library. So we're going to import FMT. We're also going to import OS. And then the last thing we're going to import is the long one. So it's github.com/bwmarin, MARRIN/Discord Go. Awesome. And as you can see, oh, I used the wrong thing. Yes, I was incorrect. I was lying to you. We need parentheses, not curly braces for this part. It caught me on my lies. But now we have a beautiful import statement. As you can see, we got another file that showed up here. So the next thing is our last setup step. We're going to add our bots token into this REPL. So for this, we're going to grab it from the Discord developer portal under the bot tab. So we'll navigate back to the Discord developer portal, which is in the chat and is discord.com/developers/applications. And within here, I am going to go to the bot tab. And so within the bot tab, we can see some information about our bot, including this token thing up here. So we're going to copy that token. And once we have that, I'm going to go back to REPL to put our token to use. So within REPL, we're going to add it to the secrets or environmental variables shown under the lock. So I'm going to open that section. And let's name our key token since it's our bot's token. And paste our bot's token into the value box. And then you're going to click add new secret and it's in there as a token. I'll go back to the file mode. Everyone caught up with that step? Cool, I'll check the chat. Yeah. So first we grab our bots token, which is not in this one, it's in the Discord developer portal. So if we go into the Discord developer portal, we're going to look under the bot section and copy the token from there. I can zoom in further. Oh, that's very far. I'll go in one less than that. So we're copying our token in there. And then within REPL, we're going to put that token to use. So in REPL, we're going into the environment variables section. And we're basically going to add a new key and value pair. So I named my key token, and my value is the token that I copied from my bot. And then once you copy and paste it and write token and the name of your value, you're going to add a new secret. So what are we up to next in coding our Discord bot? We're actually doing the coding now that we've done all of the setup steps. Woo. Cool. So first, thing we want to do is to be able to create a new Discord Go session using our bot token. So to do this, we're going to type in our main, we're going to type bot session, comma, error, the colon equals Discord Go dot new bot, and make sure you have that space after you type bot plus os dot get environment token. Perfect. So with this, you can see we are using the colon equals, which allows us to declare and give our variables values at the same time. And we're creating two items, a bot session and an error item. And it's currently complaining because we're not using them yet. So as I mentioned, make sure you put a space after the word bot. So the bot word, which is included in our call to new, is a prefix for the HTTP authorization headers, which Discord Go uses to open sessions. So we have our error item right now, which holds the secrets of whether our bot session creation will work or not, or has worked or not. So we're going to add some logic to handle if we get an error. Also going to make this screen a little bit bigger so you can see what is on one line versus the other. So we're going to check if error is not equal to nil. We're going to panic. So panic is basically we're going to stop the execution of our program and we're just going to say, this happened, it's an issue. And as you can see, we don't have the parentheses and we're checking if it's equal to nil with one L, which is the version of null within Go. So now that we have our bot session, hopefully let's do something with it and bring it to life. So next, I'm going to type error equals bot session and give this an uppercase S just for fun. I would like to keep my naming like that. Do like that camel case, but this is not a necessary thing. You can name it whatever you want. Dot open. So as we did before, we want to know when something goes wrong. So we store the output of this open function in Go, an error. So, and we can totally use panic once more for error handling. But first, I'd like to print out what happened if something goes sideways. So let's talk about how we do that. So I'm going to type on a new line. So if error is not equal to nil, then we're going to use our print statement fnt dot print ln error opening session. And then let's type out error, so it'll tell us what that error is and print it out. And then we're still going to panic because we want to make sure it doesn't continue trying to exist and do things when something has gone wrong. So since we also want to know if it all goes right and see that our bot is actually created, although we can see it come to life in Discord too, I'll add a message for that case. So outside of that if statement, I'm going to type fmt.println Discord session opened, and we're going to give the user some information on how to kill it. So type Control+C to stop. Cool. So now we're actually going to run our program. You can click run up here. It's going to take a second to import all those libraries and figure itself out. And we can see it opens a Discord session, but immediately closes. It didn't last very long. So to keep it open, we have to add one thing, an infinite for loop. So I'm going to add that after it opens our Discord session. Cool. And I'm going to run it once more. And we can see our Discord session opens. And if we go over to Discord, in the right tab, I'm going to close some of these tabs. If we go over to Discord and get out of our settings, we can see our bot is online. We brought it to life. Woohoo. Cool. So now that we have our bot living and breathing, we can talk about how to close our session. So it's just pretty much as simple as opening it. So we're going to do bot session dot close. And I know we're running a little close on time. We're going to keep going so we can actually make them do stuff. But if you have to leave, we'll also be posting the recording, and Night Hacks will be too. So don't worry if you miss it, because we'll post the code in the recording and you can do it later too. But now to continue. So we have our bot session, we bring it to life, but he doesn't do anything yet. So let's make him actually do something. So the first thing I want to make him do is respond to specific messages sent in the chat. So let's have him play ping pong and send a pong for each ping message I send in the chat. So to do this, we're going to add something called a handler to our bot session before we open it. So event handlers are pretty much exactly like they sound. So in a specific event, they handle how the bot reacts or doesn't react. So let's add one. So event handlers within Discord Go have a variety of options, but we're going to start with one to handle messages, or specifically to handle message create events. So we're going to add the code before we open our bot session that says bot session dot add handler, and all of these imported or exported functions that come from other libraries all start with capitals. And we're going to say we're going to handle message handler. So as you can see with that little angry red line, our code is complaining. So it has no idea what message handler is right now. And this is because it's a function that we need to make. So we're going to declare that function, and this will be outside of our main area. So to declare a function, as we went over, you use the word func, and then the name of the name of our, let's try this the third time, the name of our function. Perfect, message handler. We're gonna give it some parentheses and some curly braces. So message handler, our event handler function, is gonna take two inputs. So a pointer to a Discord session structure and a pointer to a message create session structure. So a pointer, if you haven't learned about them yet, are essentially like the address where a variable is stored in memory. They let us know where the object is, just like a house address lets you know where a house is located. So these two pointers are going to point to structures, which are kind of like containers with multiple variables inside of them. So first, let's add our pointer to our Discord session. So we're going to do s asterisk Discord Go dot session. So we're saying our variable s, which is of type pointer to a Discord Go session. And next, we're going to add the pointer to our message create structure in kind of a similar format. M asterisk Discord Go dot message create. So we have a pointer to a message create object. So within here, let's add some logic to show what message our bot will handle. So if the message we receive has the content of ping, we're going to be sending a message that says pong right back. So if m.content equals ping, then we're going to do something. So if this occurs, as mentioned, we want to send the message back pong back within whichever channel the original message was sent in. We don't want to just sending it wherever it wants for now. So we're going to use a function defined within Discord Go, which operates on Discord session pointers, and it's called channel message send. So we're going to call it via s.channel message send. And channel message send takes two parameters, the channel ID and the message that we want to send. So for our channel ID, I'm going to grab that from our message create object. So m.channel ID. And then our message that we want to send, which is pong. Cool. So let's actually try this out. First, I have to kill it from last time. And then, so we see it's opened. We'll go into the chat, and we're going to send a ping message. And hopefully, it will respond with pong. We did it. Cool. So one issue that we have is currently the bot only stays alive when the REPL is open and like the tab is open in your browser. So to change that, we're going to change a setting within REPL really quickly. So go to REPL and click the name of your REPL and just click always on, which is hidden down here at the bottom. Our REPL will never fall asleep. So our bot will stay alive and continue sending pong when we send ping. So the next part of our section is, so I have him sending a message, but what if I want him to send an image as a response instead? So first thing we're going to do is add the image that we want to our REPL's files. And so I grabbed a picture of a raccoon, which I downloaded to my downloads. I did not download, it's in my desktop. Is it not on my desktop? I did download it.
It's over there.
It's over there.
It's in the desktop. Yeah.
It's in the desktop. Okay. Oh, it is. My raccoon has been hiding from me. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to drag that into my files to copy that in there. Yeah. Can you real quick show how to turn it to always on again? Of course. So within your REPL, you're going to click the name of your REPL. Mine is BodyBot, and you're going to click this setting that says always on. Sick. So now that we have our picture in here, and I'm using a JPEG file, you can add whatever picture you want in here. So I'm going to add code which creates a reader object for my picture, something which allows the reading of the stream of bytes. And to do this, we're going to use OS open to open the file. And this is going to be within our message handler section. So our raccoon reader error, we're setting that equal to os.open. And I'm going to open the name of my file, which is raccoon.jpg. And of course, you can name your reader whatever you would like to name it. That lets you know it's a reader for that specific file. And this would be the name of your file that you have in there. So we're going to do our error handling as usual. If error is not equal to nil, then we panic. Our last step within here is I'm going to decide what message I want the bot to send to the raccoon. I think I'm just going to send a roar back. Message responding to, what message should we respond to? Trash, roar. Perfect. Let's use an else if statement to add some logic to check if that message is an item. So else if statements are kind of the similar thing where Go complains about new lines. So the else if is going to be on the same exact line as the last curly bracket brace of my if statement. So else if, and we put our logic here. So if the message dot content equals trash, I'm going to send my picture of my raccoon. So we're going to use something called s.channel file send. And this takes 3 inputs: our channel ID, just m.channel ID, the name of our file, which is raccoon.jpg in this scenario, and then the last thing is our file reader, which is in this case raccoon reader. Cool. So let's test that out now that we have that in there. And I'm going to change the formatting for a second so everyone can see how it looks. And then we're going to run it. So over here, can see it lives. And now let's test it out. It should still say ping. I'm pong for ping. And then if I say trash, it sends a picture of a raccoon. Sick. We did it. So feel free to expand and add more to your Discord bot, but that's all we're going to do for today. And the Discord Go library is pretty cool. There's a lot you can do with it. So have fun and try things out. Of course. And I can also send this. I'm going to send this full thing in the Zoom chat so you guys can see it there too. for now. Let's scroll down. And let's make sure there's no questions. But that's pretty much it. Any other questions we have about our Discord bot? Okay, cool. So thank you so much for joining us today for Coding with Golang, and thank you to Nighthacks for collaborating with us. So we have this awesome feedback form, so you can tell us how did we do, what can we change to make our events better for you guys. We have the sign-in sheet still up here and our link tree. So I'll leave this up, but this is pretty much everything that we have for today. So thank you so much for coming out.